Okay, Likkutei time. Likkutei, Parshat Shemini, that's page Yud Ches. There's only one mimer with an explanation on it for Shemini. So let's go. Page Yud Ches, first column. This is, again, we learned this mimer last year because there's only one mimer. About the Levyasan and the Sharabot. Not those guys. Levyasan Zayotzat and L'Sachad. The Parshat says, the Levyasan, as it's defined in English, the Leviathan, something like that. You created to play with. Isa b'meder shrab Parshat Shemini Parshat Gimel Behemoth Levyasan, the Behemoth and Levyasan. Hein Kanigun Shel Tzadikim Latzud Lavai is like the circus of the Tzadikim. You think there's a circus now? It says Latzud Lavai. There's going to be a circus between the Levyasan, the fish, and the animals. Behemoth Neitzes Levyasan Bekarnav. The Behemoth, meaning the ox, is going to gore the Levyasan with his horns, V'kairei, and he's going to rip him apart. Levyasan Neitzes Behemoth B'sampida V'nechrei. And the Levyasan is going to whack the animals with its fins, and it's going to kill it. Likkutei does it not say. The Medrash says, does not the Mishnah say Hakol Sheikh, and everybody could shecht, or B'chol Sheikh, then you can shecht with anything. In other words, the Levyasan can shecht the animals even with its fins. You don't need a sheikhet's knife. L'elam sheichin chutz mimago katzir. Okay, and then the Medrash says, because the Mishnah says you're allowed to shecht with anything except a saw, because it's rough edged. It has to be smooth edged. And then it says that chidish teira meiti teitze. Okay, then Shakadosh Baruch Hu yater os shchita zu. Then when the said the Torah says basically a new Torah will come out, meaning then Hashem is going to allow the shchita of the Levyasan to eat the Sharabot. Sheyesh chet al Levyasan as a behemoth b'sampirav. And what?
Fish doesn't eat.
We said the fish is going to shecht the Sharabot. Okay? So bottom line is, the Medrash says the Levyasan is going to whack the Sharabar, and the Sharabar is going to gore the Levyasan, obviously, the speaking La'asud Lavai. It doesn't mean, obviously, in a literal sense, that there's going to be a bunch of ox and a bunch of Levyasan, and, that's not what's going to happen. So he said, the law of in Yekanigazu, to understand what the circus is all about, of the Levyasan and the Sharabar. Okay? What does it mean, this whole circus? So he says, obviously we're talking L'asud Lavai, we're talking about the Levyasan, because this is going to be the Su'udah for the Tzadikim L'asud Lavai. Right? Like the Welt says, why did Hashem make, when Mashiach comes, fish and meat, shard and the Levyasan? Because somebody's going to ask, the Flumaks are going to ask, whose shchita is it? They're going to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They can say, you know what, better give me fish. They don't trust the shchita, you know?
You need a Jew to do shchita?
Yeah. There's two types of tzaddikim. Aleph, Eisim, Shem, B'Seiseh. Some are, okay, bottom like we learned many times. Ocean is hidden, dry land is revealed. Levyasan is hidden world, hidden Aveda. Sharabot is revealed Aveda, right? And dry land. So he says, a level tzaddikim, Shem B'Seiseh, Shavedam, Baruchnias. Perish, what does it mean, the Avedas and Ruchnias? Kavanas Alev. The Yachid Yechudim El Yainim El B'chinas Aliyas. There are certain neshamas that are made to do spiritual things, spiritual unity, spiritual greatness. Kugan Rashbi. Shahoya b'mayda Yud Gimel Shana. When the Rashbi was in the Maida 13 years. Shebevade lahoya yachol l'kayim b'maise kama mitzvahs maisius. Okay? There's no question that Rashbi in the cave for 13 years couldn't do certain mitzvahs because they only had nizunat mechuruva ve'ena demaya. The only thing they had was the boxer tree, the carob tree, and a spring of water. Im Kain, L'kayim achilas matzah b'Pesach, v'kiddush shel hayayin, v'esig v'sukkah, v'gam ha'ariz hoya b'chinas, gam b'chinas zu. The Ariz also had sometimes this avodah. In other words, like this. The Rabbi in the cave, the Gemara says in Shabbos only had the boxer tree that Hashem grew and the spring of water. So how did he do all the physical mitzvahs? They couldn't do all the physical mitzvahs. They didn't have a lulav, they didn't have an esrog. They didn't go out of the cave. How did they get it? Because their Aveda is something spiritual that they don't need mitzvahs. I remember many years ago by one of the sudas upstairs, Rabbi came down and he said that the Rebbe was asking him how did the Yidden in Russia do with matzah in lulav and esrog. So he said later that he didn't want to tell the Rebbe they didn't have to make the Rebbe sad. He said, yeah, they used to get. So the Rebbe said that the Jews in Russia during the communism was like Rabbi in the cave. They didn't do the mitzvahs with the physical matzah, physical lulav and esrog. They couldn't always get it. They did a beruchnius. Like Rabbi. It's an unbelievable thing to say that.
They didn't need to do it. That's what Hashem didn't do.
Yeah, in other words, that's the way they did it. Okay, yeah. So that's the first level. Hidden tzaddikim don't deal with gashmias. They deal only with spirituality. They made some tzaddikim shem begilui. Their aveda is dry land, meaning riviyabosha. Shavedos and begashmias bekima mitzvahs maisis. They do physical mitzvahs samachta bechagecha, which is also amshachas eretz el yonim, which is also bringing down great spirituality. But the spirituality is brought down through physical mitzvahs. Okay? The amshacha zu and the aved of these tzaddikim is to bring down this amshacha, they are mitzvahs of the dafka. Dafka, physical action. In other words, there are certain tzaddikim that accomplish these things like the office before Matan Torah spiritually. Then you have tzaddikim, the aved is dafkin gashmis to bring down these things. Or Kamai Merazal. Shebizman, Rabbi the Gemara says, in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, ain't simcha lebasar. The only time they had, how were they mekayim the mitzvah samachta bechagacha? They ate meat, they drank wine. Shel simcha shoym mevim b'chol yom tov. V'achshav ein lanu simcha ele b'yayin. Now we don't have the korbanos, so we have wine. V'ikar amshach b'Pesach. The primary amshach b'Elokus in Pesach is dafka idei matzah. Uveshvoy say they matan teira, and psuka say they sukkah lulav amina. Ubaladi zeh he afshalaham sheklau. Okay, but the Rabbi on the other hand, he did it spiritually. He didn't do it, couldn't do it physically. So there are two levels of tzaddikim. Okay, one level of tzaddikim is to do it only spiritually. They create again. What does mitzvahs accomplish? We learn Shem Yichud Kudshem Shechintei. We do a physical mitzvah, we'll unite Yud K with Vav K. Right? That's what we learned many times. So we do it through physical mitzvahs. Some tzaddikim, they don't do it, they don't need it, or they don't do it with physical mitzvahs. They do it in a spiritual sense. They spiritually, without doing the mitzvah, like Rabbi in the cave. So they did Yichud Kudshem Shechintei without the Gashmiistic thing. I understand, but Lepel, that's what he accomplished. Onrin, like it says in Yiddish. The truth is, you can't reach the ultimate level of Elokus through Gashmis, only through the Ruchni is the Gaved of Tzadikim. And they were called Nun Yama, the creatures of the sea. The yam, the ocean, you look at the ocean, you don't see fish, you see the ocean. They are from the hidden worlds. There are in every generation such tzaddikim. That's the level of Livyasan. What is the root of the word Livyasan? Levi. Levia, accompaniment.
So we call it the Avot.
What?
Avot also when they did the Mitzvot.
Yeah, but that was again before Matan Torah. Here he's speaking even after Matan Torah. there are neshamas that do it ruchnius and the neshamas that do it begashmis. And Levyasam, what does Levyasam mean? Loshim, his chabad is binding and connection. Like when Levi was born, Leah said, "Apam yilavi ishi elai." My husband will accompany me. Okay. V'hinei. Okay, this is a goal. Let me see how far it goes. Okay. It's a pretty long ago. Okay, let's try it. Let's see it. V'hinei v'gim ol shoyis revius hu nikra samach lemincha. 3 hours before mincha is called samach lemincha. Kirisi b'gemarish perak arvi psachim. V'yitzchak tikin mincha. Yitzchak was the one that instituted mincha. V'yadua that Yitzchak ol lashon tzchek. Yitzchak is the expression of tzchek. Just like by Levyasin it says, Zayotzarta l'sachik bei. It's the level of Yitzchak. K'bei shekos tzchek asuli elokim. Like it says in the Maimah V'shavti B'sholim. L'chein is Yosef v'misachik of Levyasin. Therefore the Gemara says, Hashem plays with the Levyasin in the 3 hours of the afternoon. Right? Because that's connected to Yitzchak, which is a level of tzchek, which is the level of Levyasin Zayotzarta l'sachik bei. In other words, the Shara doesn't say Hashem plays with. The Levyasin Hashem plays with. Because that level of hidden Aveda, the Ruchniistic Aveda, which is the level of Yitzchak, that's the Hashem is enjoying that. That's the Tzchak. Because what the Gemara says, Im Shemaya Lay Nikra Dainais in the same Shemakim Kedaboy. The Gemara says like this. Gemara in Bracha says the first parsha of Shema is when the Jews do with the will of Hashem. Second parsha of Shema, they don't do the will of Hashem. Why? Because in the end it says, but you're going to turn away, and then Hashem's going to get angry, and He won't bring the rain, and all that stuff. So he said, but Alter Rebbe has the word kidboy. Why? What's the difference between the first parsha and the second parsha? First parsha says b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshcha, u'b'chol me'idecha. Me'id means the infinite, breaking your nature. Second parsha says b'chol levavchem, u'b'chol nafshechem. It doesn't say b'chol me'idchem. Because the second parsha is the Jews doing the avodah in a natural way with all your heart and soul. That avodah can cause you to turn away from Hashem. The first parsha is b'chol meidecha bli gvul, with the essence of the neshama, so then you don't turn away. So he says, the parsha Shema, that's called Ritzeinei Shel Mokim. Because what is the ultimate will of Hashem? When you bring Seviv, the infinite, into Mamali, into the finite. That's the ultimate avodah. That's what Hashem wants. In order to reach this level of Levi, that we're connected and accompanying Hashem, that are called Nuna Yama, the creatures of the sea, without the level of infinite, you still don't have it. Meaning as follows. We know that Rabbi explains in Tanya, in Perek Tezvav. He calls the Gemara in Chagiga, Loy Avodai, Avodah. Eved Elokim, you serve God versus not serving God. Right? So the Gemara says, you learn 101 times, you're called serving Hashem. You learn 100 times, you're called not serving. Look, how can that be not serving Hashem? You're learning 100 times. I want to see how many people learn Gemara 100 times. I mean, it's a real Avodah Hashem. Well, that's the answer. But that's natural Avodah. That was the nature of people then. So when you serve Hashem naturally, you're called Lo Yavadei. That's why in the second Parsha Shema, where you don't have this B'chol Ma'idecha, you don't have the breaking of the nature, you're called not serving Hashem. Are you serving Hashem? It's not the right way of serving Hashem. What causes this higher level? That's the tzaddikim of Nuna Yama. What's so funny?
The only place that Persians are mentioned in Israel.
No comment, he pleads the fifth.
Far side, Parsi, 100.
Pars over there is a measurement.
Right, but it's the first.
Okay, no comment. I promise you'd rather I don't say it. So he says, well, there, the Gemara says, beginning of Aveda Zara, Mishachar of Beis HaMikdash Ein Schek. Now that the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, there's no laughter, there's no nothing. Okay, Meisha calls the Parshas Truma. Like it said, V'nahar Yechare V'yavish. When the river will dry up, or like it says, Lagabil Rocha Do Yaakov. Okay, V'edi Yishlim Alpi Masha Kosv Kisir Azizal. Aidei Teira Mitzvahs Yemamshich Yichud Zun. He says, I'll explain in a second. Avalaham Shich Yichud Avo, which is Amshachas Er Chodosh. Mein Tabaruch is Aidei Mesidus Nefesh Daik. Okay. You know, there's the Yichud of Yudkei and the Yichud of Vavkei. Vavkei, is Zah and Malchus. The Yichud of Vav, we say in Davening, L'Shem Yichud Kutsho B'Richud L'Shchinta L'Yachada Shem Yudkei. There's a Yichud of Yudkei and there's a Yichud of Vavkei. Now, in down to earth language, in Kabbalah it says, okay, Yudkei and Vavkei. Yud is masculine, Hey is feminine. Yud and Hey is father and mother, Chachma and Bina. Vav, the sixth fetus, is called Ben. Malchus is Bas. Okay? So you have Yudkei as the father and mother, which creates, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, right? Creates Midas. Now, father and mother create son and daughter. That's the mitzvah of children, right? Son and daughter. Plurival is at least son and daughter, grandkids, whatever. But, so you have like this. There's a yichud of masculine and feminine. The whole Kabbalah system of worlds is based on the yichud of male and female, giver and receiver. The whole world is created. Malchus has nothing of its own. Okay? So you have like this. Father and mother, the yud is masculine, like we know. Now, when the yud comes down lower, it becomes a vav. What is a vav? A vav is an extended yud. That's halachically what it is in the Sefer Torah. So, yud is masculine, vav is masculine. Hey is feminine, like even in Hebrew, right? Hey, yud is zachan, and hey is lashon nekeva. So, you have the male and female. So you have the male and female of Chochmah and Bina, which is a higher yichud than the yichud of Vav, Zah, and Midas, and Malchus, because Chochmah and Bina is higher than Zah and Malchus, right? It's very that's simple. So he says that in order to accomplish Vav, yichud of Vav K, that enough is Gashmias, Torah mitzvahs. Just do mitzvahs naturally, whatever. When you do Torah mitzvahs, you accomplish Vav K. In order to get the yichud of Yud K, that's Mesidus Nefesh. In order to have the yichud of Chochmah and Bina, then you need self-sacrifice, because it's a much more difficult, it's a much higher level of yichud. Now one second, let me just explain one more thing for clarification. You can have a male and a female separate, yes, they will never have children. In order to have a child, you need the yichud, the unity between male and female. So the same thing in Kedusha. You can have Chachma, you can have Bina, you can have Zah, and you can have Malchus, but when each one's separate, there's no continuity, there's no revelation to a lower level. Right? What does the Eibishter want? That should be revelations of Elokus into the lower world. In order to do that, you have to create children, spiritual, right? So you have the Yichud of Yudkei, which is Chachma and Bina, that creates Midas. In order to create the unity of Midas, creates further down. So he says, it says in the Zohar, close this from the Zohar, no, Kisvei Arizal. So it says in Kisvei Arizal, in order to do Vav unity, the lower level of Vav Hey, the unity, it's enough Torah mitzvahs. Im Shemaya Tishmu. Shemaya Tishmu does Vav Hey. But because there's no Mesiras Nefesh, there's no B'chol Meidecha, it cannot accomplish Yutkei.
So then the Zah is Futsha Rechul,
Yeah,
and Shchinte
it's Malchus.
So Yechul is Futsha Rechul, Shchinte.
Yeah, and then we say the Liyachta Shem Yutkei B'Vavkei. So that means you need to bring down the Gilui of Yutkei, the Yichud of Yutkei, into Vavkei. Because Vavkei has certain level of revelations, right? But if you want a greater revelation, then you have to unite Yud-K with Vav-K.
Yeah, but that is Mesirat Nefesh.
That's Mesiras Nefesh, Chol Meidecha. What?
It goes high up, we get lost.
No, this is not high up. It's very simple.
Look off, you guys do it.
It's very simple. What Alter Rebbe is saying here is not. It's
How to apply it, Rabbi? It's not just about saying it.
there are lower accomplishments and there are greater accomplishments. Greater accomplishments need more work than lower accomplishments. That's. I hope you understand that. That's pretty simple. It does make sense. Should make dollars better. Now, in Ruchni, it's also a lower Avaida creates lower unities, meaning a lesser revelation of Elokus with the unities. Harder work of Torah mitzvahs create greater unities, right? Like the Tzemach Tzedek said to that guy, I have a bigger problem than you. I do want to learn. So therefore, by me, it's not breaking my nature. You don't want to learn, so when you learn, you break your nature. Look what you accomplish. Mesiras Nefesh. You accomplish Yudkei. Okay? I want to learn, so for me, it's not Mesiras Nefesh, so I don't do that Aveda.
Every time we say bracha, it's Vavke, Baruch Atah Hashem.
No, it's the level of Ata into Havaya,
Which is even higher.
into Elokeinu, into Melech HaOlam. Those are the various different unities.
It's not Yudke.
It's well, Havaya Elokeinu. Havaya Elokeinu.
How does it even
So
higher?
anytime we say bracha is a Mesirat Nefesh, is happening in a Mesirat Nefesh, is connecting Yudke, Vavke together.
Ideally, you're supposed to do every mitzvah with Mesiras Nefesh. What do you mean Mesiras Nefesh doing a mitzvah? You have to do a mitzvah more intensity than you would normally do it.
One level higher every day.
Mesiras Nefesh doesn't mean jumping off a roof. Mesiras Nefesh means going above and beyond your nature.
Dedication.
Beyond your nature is called Mesiras Nefesh. It's very simple. There's lower accomplishments and higher accomplishments.
I thought it's helping another Jew.
That's the real ultimate.
Dedication too, yeah.
To help another Jew is
To help another Jew, especially when you don't want to.
that's Mesirat Nefesh.
That's Mesiras Nefesh.
Helping someone.
There's a loch in Shulchan Aruch. You know, there's a mitzvah. You see the guy's donkey struggling under its load. You have to help him. So Gemara says, what happens if there's two people that need help? One is your enemy, and one is your friend. So logic will say, help your friend. He's your friend. I have to help. I'm doing a mitzvah. Torah says no. The Gemara says no. You have to help your enemy first.
It's not enemy.
Just-
Adversary. It's not like enemy, like the one that wants to.
Okay, are you a thesaurus?
Enemy is one that wants to kill you, not to.
Moshe, you don't